Hi, good morning, grade 8. How are you all? Hope you all are fine. I'm doing good. So, today I wish to talk to you a bit. Uh, how did you all spend uh, Children's Day and Diwali? I just wish to know. Do let me know how you enjoyed on Children's Day as well as Diwali. How did you all enjoy, uh, you know, your choti Diwali, that is your small little Diwali, as well as your big Diwali day, right? Hope you all got new gifts. Hope you all got new dresses and you all pretty enjoyed, right? And for me, if you want to know, yes, I enjoyed. I decorated my house. I got a new dress as well as a jewelry. And yeah, I had spent a very nice time with my family. And yeah, that's how I enjoyed my Diwali. And that's how my Diwali went. And I guess you all had a blast of enjoyment. And one more thing that I wish to ask, did you all did you all use this firecrackers and everything? Did you light only candles or did you also uh, like uh, burn the firecrackers and everything? Do let me know. Yes? Okay. Without delaying, let me continue with our next chapter. Okay, so today we are going to read about relative pronoun. Okay, today we are going to learn about relative pronoun. Now, you might have a question that, ma'am, we know about pronouns, but we really don't know about relative pronoun. Okay, so pronoun, if I ask you what is a pronoun, right? Yes, you all will come up with that answer that a pronoun is used in place of a noun. A pronoun is used in place of a noun. Like if I go on saying Ram did this, Ram did that, or Sita did this, Sita did that. So it doesn't sound good, right? So in place of Ram, Sita, Lakshman, Hari, whatever it is, we always use, for boys it is always he, and for girls it is always she, right? For things we use it, it, right? For things we use it. So these are some ways how we define pronouns. So pronouns are basically used in place of nouns so that it doesn't sound repetitive. So that it doesn't sound repetitive. Pronouns are nothing but are used in the place of nouns so that it doesn't sound repetitive. Is it clear? So today our main objective in order to learn this relative pronouns will be that we as kids will be able to identify and use different forms of relative pronouns. We as kids will be able to identify, that is we will be identified which is a relative pronoun. Okay, pronouns have so many parts. So among all those parts today we are going to discuss only about relative pronoun. Okay, so we will be able to identify and use different forms of relative pronouns. So what are the relative pronouns and what are they, or what is all about relative pronouns? We will do it one by one. You will also be able to make differences between commonly used relative pronoun and will also be able to make a sentence along with that. So you will be able to make sentences effectively with that. Okay. So let us know what is a relative pronoun. A relative pronoun is a pronoun which joins, which you know comes together or joins two clauses. One is independent, the other one is dependent. So independent and dependent clauses comes to a joining position through a relative pronoun. Okay. So a relative pronoun is a pronoun which joins two clauses. One is independent clause, one is dependent clause. Right? Now, what are the basic uh, relative pronouns? They are whose, whom, which, that, and who. Right? I repeat, who, whom, whose, which, and that. Basically, five. I repeat once again, who, whom, whose, which, that. There are five basic relative pronouns. Okay. So let us have a glance of some examples. Let us see the very first example. As I told you, whenever we go on saying a particular thing, it doesn't sound good, right? You see, we find the very first example on the screen. Shivangi is my cousin. She is a trained dancer. So we find that Shivangi is my cousin who is a trained dancer. So in order to say it in a proper sentence, we can go about like Shivangi, who is my cousin, is a trained dancer. You can well see that you have omitted the pronoun she. We are trying to omit out the pronoun, the basic pronoun she, right? So once I say Shivangi is my cousin, she is a trained dancer. More than that, in order to precise the sentence and sound it more clear, we use it like Shivangi, who is my cousin, is a trained dancer. Shivangi, who is my cousin, is a trained dancer. Look at the second example. The letter reached me this afternoon. You sent the letter last week. So the letter reached me this afternoon. You sent the letter last week. In order to make it sound better, we use it like the letter you sent me last week reached me this afternoon. You see the first example and the second example, you can well understand which one sounds better, right? The letter reached me this afternoon. You sent the letter last week. You see, we are trying to omit off the pronoun you, and henceforth we are writing it in just a roundabout way. The letter you sent me, you see the very first independent clause, the letter, and also last week, this all, the independent pronoun. The letter you sent me last week reached me this afternoon. It is sounding much better, right? So, relative pronoun, as I said you, the words that, which, who functions as relative pronouns as they refer or relate to some noun going before them, also known as antecedents. So we all know that pronouns are generally used in place of nouns. We all know that pronouns are generally used in place of nouns, right? So words like that, which, who functions as relative pronouns which refer or which relate to some nouns which are going before them. So the nouns going before such relative pronouns are known as antecedents. Are known as antecedents. Okay, so let's move on to the next point. So we will also try to know that at times pronouns also act as conjunctions. We should also know and should not get confused that pronouns also act as conjunctions, right? Let us see how. The words that, which, who are also used for connecting or joining sentences, which are also known as conjunctions. As I told you, that relative pronouns are also used in order to join sentences. It can also be two clauses, independent and dependent. So to know more about relative pronouns, we might say that the forms of relative pronouns are the same for both plural as well as singular, as well as masculine or feminine. It does not go on changing whether, like relative pronoun does not change on the basis of gender, or it does not change on the basis of number. Okay, whether it's singular or plural, whether it's masculine or feminine, the relative pronoun doesn't change as such. Because if I'm saying it only changes for pronoun, but relative pronoun does not change. We will know it after some time. Okay, so the most commonly used relative pronouns, we will first, as I told you, all together: who, whom, whose, which, that. Who, whom, whose, which, and that. So 5 relative pronouns. We will be trying to do it one by one. So as I told you of the first example, that it does not change while it comes with gender or numbering times. Why? Because whether I like the girl who is standing there, I like the boy who is standing there, remains the same If I say a man or a woman or a girl or a boy, okay, who, whose, which, that, this all relative pronouns does not change with the change in gender, or it also does not change with the change in number. Okay, so that's what. Let's see what we have to say about who. Who. It is used for people and sometimes pet animals, both in defining and non-defining sense. So here I would like to say you one thing. Who, whom, whose. Who, whom, whose are used for person. These three relative nouns are used for persons, right? Human beings, right? Who, whom, whose. Whose house are you going today? Whose house means you are naming for some person, right? Or whom are you searching? So whom are you searching? This can also go for person also. This can also go for things. So I will go one by one. Who, whom, whose go for person. Again, whose, that, which goes for things. That is non-living things. I repeat, who, whom, whose goes for person, and whom, that, which. These three relative pronouns go for things. Okay. So now we are going to study about who. It is used for people and sometimes pet animals, both in defining and non-defining senses. So who can be used for, as I told you, persons or animals, or both. It can be for defining and non-defining senses. For example, it is used for people, animals, and things only in defining senses. That has gone. Who was used, or who is used for both defining and non-defining things. But that is used only for animals, people, and things which can only be defined, right? Which it is used for animals and things in defining and non-defining clauses when the clauses is referring to the whole sentence. So this is to be observed, right? Next, we will go for whose, the relative pronoun whose. It is possessive in meaning and is used for people and animals, usually and sometimes even for things in formal situations in both defining and non-defining senses. So, whose is that kind of possessive pronoun which has got a meaning, which has its use in both people as well as things and animals, both in defining and non-defining senses. As I told, the word whose, or the pronoun, the relative pronoun whose, can be used for both things which are non-living and person which are living. Okay. And finally we come to whom. Okay. It is used especially for defining and non-defining sense for people. As I told you, whom, who, and whose are basically used for person, and whose, that, and which are used for things, right? So whom is used for defining and non-defining sense for people in formal styles or in writing, often with a preposition. It is also used instead of who is the subject. Okay. So that's what we are going to see here. So today I will stop it here. The next day we will continue with relative pronoun as well. Okay.